You ever have one of those days where your whole world just flips upside down before you've even had your coffee? Yeah, that was me, except instead of a caffeine shortage, I got Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, blocking my garage and screaming, "Don't park here anymore. Pack your things and get out." Her eyes, man, they were blazing like I'd run over her cat and insulted her family name in the same breath. She pointed at my old Honda like she expected it to burst into flames, and for a second I wondered if she had that kind of power. And the best part, neighbors started poking their heads out from behind curtains. Patricia watering her plants in the rain, James pretending to get the mail for the fourth time in 10 minutes, everyone trying to act casual while soaking up the neighborhood drama. Let's be honest, this was better than daytime TV for half the street. I could have argued, could have shouted back, but I just smiled, pulled out my phone, and made one call. Not to fight. To end it. Because Karen had no idea the little secret I'd been holding on to, a secret about to shake the entire HOA to its core. You ready for this? Thing is, it all started out normal enough. Just a Tuesday in late August, coming home from a client meeting in Springfield, my head filled with sketches for a new medical complex, blueprints, specs, all that jazz. Pulled up to my lakeside cabin, the place my parents left me my sanctuary since they passed at 45. I'm an architectural engineer by trade, and that house by Lake Vista, it's more than a house. It's my workspace, my escape, my little slice of peace in a world that just won't slow down. Huge windows, lake views, computer monitors, humming my own headquarters. But then there's Karen, or as I came to call her, the law. Picture a woman in her early 50s, pressed black suit hair pulled so tight it'd make a Marine jealous handbag gripped like it might bite. She had this voice that barked out orders, made you feel like you were back in basic training if your drill sergeant wore designer heels and a shade of lipstick that could stop traffic. She flashes this photocopied official notice at me, no letterhead, no seal, no signature, just a piece of paper that looked like it had lost a fight with a copy machine. Now I've spent decades wrangling with city permits and zoning docs. I could spot a fake from 50 yards out, and this was amateur hour. Meanwhile, the neighborhood audience keeps growing. Dorothy from next door gloves still covered in garden dirt. James from across the street suddenly real invested in his mailbox. Folks holding up phones, catching every minute for posterity or maybe TikTok. But what really made me pause was her license plate, BMW 7KRN HOA. That combination nagged at me, familiar but out of reach. While Karen ranted about community standards and property values, all I could think about was that plate. Something about it was off-calculated. I started to wonder, was this just a run-of-the-mill busybody or something a little more rehearsed? Then she plays her hand. "I'm calling the police," she announces like I'd just confessed to Grand Theft Auto instead of parking in my own driveway. She spins toward her BMW, digging in her oversized purse for her phone, looking every bit the part of a woman who's made it her life's mission to enforce order, no matter how imaginary. And that's when I pulled out my own phone, hit record, and started documenting everything. I knew right then this wasn't just a nosy neighbor gone wild. Something bigger was brewing. That night, with the moon glowing on the lake and my office lit up by monitors, I couldn't let it go. I ran that license plate through every search I could think of. 20 minutes in, I landed on the HOA Victims Network. There it was, 8 months ago, a guy in Phoenix wrote about a woman in a black BMW, same plate, who rolled into his neighborhood, claimed to be HOA, threatened people, waved fake documents, even scared folks into selling their homes. She'd done this before. And suddenly my quiet lakeside life felt a whole lot less private. Next morning, official-looking envelope in my mailbox, HOA letterhead violation notice, parking restrictions. At first glance, it looked legit. But there it was again, spelling errors, a fake P.O. box. The same kind of slipshod details Karen tried waving in my face yesterday. Now I had evidence, and my patience was running thin. Called up Sarah at my regular print shop, asked if anyone had been in using my business logo. Turns out Karen herself had asked for reprints, said she was my partner, needed those files. She'd done her homework, stolen my branding, made the forgeries even more convincing. That's when I realized this wasn't random. She targeted me for a reason. Later that day, I strolled over to Dorothy's. She poured me coffee and we talked. Turns out Karen had been harassing the Wilsons months ago with fake violations, scared them so bad they sold and moved to Florida. New owners paid cash, closed fast. Starting to see a pattern, I called the county office. Lake Vista's HOA had been dormant for 18 months. Karen had no authority. She was making it up as she went running a con. This was fraud, pure and simple. And if she thought I was going to roll over, well, she picked the wrong guy. Then the threat started. My phone rang, unfamiliar number. Cold, familiar voice. You're poking at a hornet's nest. Morrison, be careful. Click. I looked outside. There's her BMW parked across the street. Next thing I know, construction crews show up at dawn jackhammers, tearing up my driveway, cones everywhere. Waterline emergency, Karen says with a smile, clipboard in hand. She'd even forged a work order using a logo I designed for a client 2 years back. Logo she stole off my files at the print shop. I called her bluff in front of the contractors, pointed out every inconsistency. Bill, the foreman, wasn't having it either. He realized they'd been duped. That was the first real crack in Karen's armor. I went door to door, asked my neighbors if they'd seen the same. James and Patricia both described weeks of intimidation, changing rules, late-night threats, psychological warfare. Patricia said it best. She made me feel like a criminal in my own home. The real twist I called Helen Sterling, widow of the original HOA president. She faxed me the original charter, 3 pages, basic guidelines. No power to evict or fine anyone. Karen was running a full-blown scam. That's when my power went out, exactly when the utility company threatened in another bogus notice. I saw Karen's car and a suspicious van with antennas out front. Now, it wasn't just harassment, it was a coordinated operation. I called my sister Lisa in Portland to vent. She went quiet, then said, "Frank, I think I dealt with that same woman." Turns out 6 months back, a woman matching Karen's description pulled the same stunt at Lisa's condo, bullied her until she sold her place for way below market. Lisa had even recorded one of their conversations. She sent me the audio, same voice, same phrases. No way it was coincidence. Karen was running the same con across state lines, moving from neighborhood to neighborhood, profiting off people's fear. I dug deeper, called Mike Peterson from the Phoenix Post. He'd hired a private investigator, found Karen was part of a network, 5 people targeting communities with weak HOAs. They'd scare folks into selling, buy up the properties cheap through shell companies, then flip them for profit. This was big millions in fraud, dozens of families hurt. But now we had enough evidence to fight back. That night, we organized a war council at Dorothy's. Neighbors, my sister Mike, everyone called in or showed up. Peterson explained the whole operation, property acquisition network masterminded by a disbarred Nevada attorney named Michael Richardson. They'd industrialized the scam, fake documents, intimidation, forced sales. Karen got 40%, the rest went to the higher-ups. Dorothy suggested the ACLU. She'd read about their housing rights division. So I put together a dossier, audio, video documents, testimonies, everything. We were ready. That afternoon, Karen showed up at Dorothy's with 2 guys in suits, claimed they were her legal team, tried to scare us off. But one slipped, whispering that this guy has too much evidence. Karen snapped, admitting she'd spent 2 years setting this up, aiming for a 7-figure payday. That was it, the last nail. Then they tried to shut me up for good. My phone, internet, even backup radio dead. But Karen didn't count on Dorothy bringing me her late husband's military-grade satellite phone. I called the ACLU hotline, got transferred to their legal team, then the FBI. Turns out they'd been tracking HOA fraud like this for months, but needed someone with real proof and guts to come forward. That was us. Within hours, federal agents swooped in. Raids across multiple states, arrests, seizures, the whole 9 yards. Watching Karen get cuffed, her power suit looking sad and cheap, shouting empty threats as the feds led her away. Let me tell you, that was a moment I'll remember forever. But what mattered most, Restitution for every victim. Lisa called crying when her check came, said it finally felt like justice. Our community bounced back. Dorothy became HOA president, rewrote the rules, dues dropped, and we actually started enjoying our meetings. The ACLU hired me to help other neighborhoods protect themselves, and I started sharing our story, how regular people, when they stick together, can take down a whole criminal enterprise. And Karen, 6 months later, I visited her in prison, not to gloat, just to ask why. She admitted she'd lost everything after her divorce and needed to feel in control, but it got out of hand. A cautionary tale, I guess, about what happens when someone's need for power overrides basic decency. Now, sometimes Dorothy will come by my dock at sunset, 2 cups of coffee in hand, and ask if I regret any of it. I always say no. If I hadn't made that call, how many more families would have lost their homes? Sometimes protecting your peace means fighting for what's right, not just for you, but for everyone who calls your neighborhood home. So if you made it this far, I've got to ask, what would you have done if Karen showed up on your doorstep? Would you have backed down or stood up? Drop a comment, share your story, and don't forget to hit that like button if you believe in standing up for justice, because sometimes the only thing that stops a bully is someone brave enough to say, "Not today."